What up? What up? What's Sibbity? What's happening? Welcome to another edition of the Wrap Up, aka Kicking It with the Cousins. Tony on the mic, and as always, I'm joined by my mailman, your mailman. It's a small world after all, mailman. I'm talking about Oz, the people's mailman. And in addition, since Oz is out there on vacation, had to have the backup just in case. I'm talking about my therapist, your therapist. I'm talking about Rob, the sports card therapist. Fellas, what's going on? Oz, how is Florida, sir?
Florida is beautiful, my brother. And you thought I wasn't gonna make it. I told you I was. My wife is pissed, but it's all good, baby. I said, listen, I just need 1 hour with the fellas. I know you don't like this whole Wolfpack thing, but I'm making it happen regardless.
That's
I
dope.
love it.
That's dope. Rob, what's going on, brother?
No, not much, man. I was glad to see you, man. How's vacation?
Vacation is unbelievable, bro. Like we're going to all the parks. We've been to Universal today. We were at Island Adventures the other day. We're checking out raptors, velociraptors eating our heads and all kinds of stuff. Roller coasters here and there, Disney, meeting Mickey, doing the whole Orlando, Florida thing. Loving life.
Wow,
Very
good
nice.
stuff, man.
Very
That sounds
nice.
amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Let me get some of these comments right here. James Lumen is here, which, by the way, happy birthday, James. Go ahead, Oz.
Oh,
Big
happy
Jim.
birthday, Mr. Day James Lumen in the house. Happy birthday, baby.
Yeah, happy birthday. James says, hit that thumbs up button, jabronis. Rob was jamming out to our little pre-game music there. So it's a nice little vibe right there. Ripping and flipping cars is here. What's going on, brother? Big John in the house. Big John, what's going on? Shout out to Big John, man. He got his daughter one of those card stands. It was real nice. If you check out Big John on
Mm.
Instagram,
Oh,
yeah, it's really
nice,
cool.
nice.
Yeah, real cool. Ripping and flipping says, can you hear what the mailman is cooking? Sweet Steve Splenda is here. He said, hope your vacation is going well, Oz. What up, Tone and Rob? And happy birthday, Lumen.
Big Steve. So
Yes,
Steve's
sir.
Steve's gonna be on my live tomorrow that I'm doing with. It's gonna be me and Steve Splenda and Dan the Card Man.
Mm.
Oh, look at
Yeah.
you getting a little spicy. Uh-oh. Okay. That's dope. Cousin Sal is in the house. Cousin Sal,
If you're
let's
gonna do that,
go.
you have to
What
Listen,
do
up,
the Salt
Sal?
Bay. You have to do the Salt Bay if you're gonna do that.
there you go. Cousin Sal,
Oh,
There you
I have
go.
a special mail day here from Cousin Sal.
Whew.
oh,
Share that a little bit later. Sal, feel free to jump in if you want, because we got it. We got a boy, oh boy, did the birds get a hell of a draft pick. So, but that's
ooh,
besides that. And Cardboard Trap House is listening and learning. So definitely
there you go.
appreciate that. So fellas, that's a couple things real quick. I just wanted to recap the NFL draft that went. Just a couple things because right now, if you listen closely, the printers are going at Panini. Bryce Young cards are flying off the production lines. CJ Stroud cards. So, Oz, I'll kick it to you first. Bryce Young goes first to the
Mhm.
Panthers, quarterback from Alabama. Who actually, so Bryce does have an exclusive auto deal with Fanatics, so there's stuff
Okay.
on there already right now. But what kind of prices are we seeing for Mister Young once that first product
Right
starts?
off the bat, right
Yeah,
off the bat, those things are going to be ridiculous because those are the first ones that always come out, and people just that FOMO kicks in, and they're willing to pay these crazy, ridiculous prices to be the first one to get it graded, and hopefully get a Gem Mint 10 and be the first one to put it on eBay. And people are just going to be flocking to these new QBs. So how many QBs was it in the first
it
10?
was
Just the two?
yeah, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, which we'll get to him in a minute. So it was three out of the first nine. I got to see the first nine picks and then jumped
Yeah.
on here. So, but yeah, Steve says QB pump cycle engaged. Yeah, it's gonna be
Mhm.
some fun. I mean, when you have two quarterbacks going 1-2, that's
Yeah.
just the spark that the hobby, you know.
That was like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff.
Yeah, yep, yeah, for
Look
sure.
Mm.
and look at him now.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Who
Listen,
would have
don't
thought?
sleep on golf. Golf still has the
That's what I'm
second half
saying.
of the career to play, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We thought that we had the better end of that deal, and
Yeah.
not so much, I guess, long longevity wise. But Rob, with these two quarterbacks coming off the top, right away, 1-2. What do you thinking hobby wise going forward?
Listen, I'm gonna still continue to beat that drum of unless you are trying to be in that straight up flipper category, there's no money to be made with these quarterbacks. Like I think if you're trying to start buying cards of one of any first round quarterback, I mean, it's going to be really hard to ever get your money back unless you're just kind of, riding some kind of imaginary wave that's not going to be there. I'm just all about putting money in goats personally, and not to throw cold water on this conversation because I know we're going to be talking about the draft and stuff, but
No, no
I
worries.
think there's such a play to be made on these early 2000s players, whether if it's like Adrian Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald. I could rattle off probably 30 guys that are probably going to be Hall of Famers. You know what? Last night I just picked up was on card auto, in person auto, PSA slabbed of Brian Urlacher rookie. So he's
Ooh,
one of only
nice.
5 players
Nice.
since drafted in 2000 to um, be elected in the Hall of Fame so far. So, he's I don't know, man. Like, I think with these quarterbacks, there's just gonna be a lot of people losing a lot of money. It's like I was just talking to John, Joku Sports. I
Mhm.
had like a 90-minute conversation with him today on the phone. And, we were just talking about how it's like literally probably like the same 100,000 people that are trying to get the same exact cards and trying to buy 80% and sell at 100% of comps. It's like there's so many people in that lane. I feel like it's
Yeah,
nearly impossible to make money in that lane.
yeah, I
Ken
agree.
Ken Cairns would beg to differ.
I know. It is something. You're right
That's
about
very
that.
true. That's very true. And I saw that's interesting. That the other day I was looking at a Megatron card
Mm.
and X Fractor, and Megatron was at doing, and I think I don't know. I mean, just sneak peek to card of the week. Like this is the stuff that I'm buying. And these guys are not that this guy's a Hall of Famer, but this guy To is a Hall of Famer. And yeah, I just think one day these cards are going to catch up. I really do. I could be totally wrong, and I'm not Steve. I'm not pumping 90s and 2000 football players, but I really do think that at some point they do kind of the what's your thing, Rob? Rising tides,
Yeah,
that
lift
kind of
all
thing.
boats.
So yeah, so I don't know. I think that does happen, but we'll see. And
know
I
we're
did see.
talking I know we're talking NFL, and I don't want to like take this too much hostage or anything like that, but literally right in my Zion case right now, this is the kind of stuff that if I was thinking football, that
Mhm.
personally I would probably be buying because they're such good buys. Dick Butkus on card
Mm.
rookie auto, Eric Dickerson on card rookie auto.
Mhm.
Yeah, look at that.
Anthony Munoz.
Beautiful. Anthony Nunez,
Munoz.
Munoz,
Yeah.
sorry, on card rookie auto. Dan Marino, Jim Kelly. I mean, stuff like that, man. Like, I'm not buying any of these new guys. I mean, Oz just said, right? Was it before we came on or when we were on? He's like, we haven't had one or two since yeah, Jared
Yeah.
Goff and
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, and where are they right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, you
Yeah.
never know. You could always hit on one guy. Like if you collected Jalen Hurts unknowingly,
Hmm.
he's primed for a big year. Can he make that leap? Can he take it to the next level and win a Super Bowl with the Eagles? You don't know, but if
Oh, how'd we talk? How'd you spit into Hertz talk all of a sudden?
I'm just saying it. If you got into him
Speaking
early,
of goats, let me talk about Jalen Hurts for a minute.
no, I'm just saying, like if you got into the QB game and you happen to say, okay, Jalen Hurts looks like a prospect, second round pick,
Right.
has some intangibles, but probably going to come off the bench, not really a starter. Then all of a sudden he gets thrust into that, and you got these cards that are really cheap. You got them really cheap. Obviously, if you had some bangers, you can make some money, especially if he has another back to back year doing that. But the chances and the odds of that happening, like everybody's trying to go for that big name. We always go back to the Mac Jones, and that whole craze. And, here comes Bailey Zappi taking his place, and I remember mid-season I told it was Shane Norton and you guys, I was like, yo, buy that Bailey Zappi because Mac Jones is out.
Yeah.
And you saw his rookie cards went crazy for a minute. So it's just like it's a hot potato game that we always talk about
Yeah.
with these QBs. And, that's just like same thing with baseball and these prospects, man. People love that gambling aspect of it.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, when you think about like the kind of cards that you're going to really make money off of, um, if you're going to, if you have the opportunity to, are really like the top 1 to 5% of a player's cards, right? So,
Mhm.
like, yeah, you can make money off a Mahomes optic hollow rated rookie, but it's like, what are you going to buy it for 1,400 and hopefully flip it for 1,600? When at the right time, you know what I mean? It's like, but the thing is, I don't know. I just feel like it's such a Mahomes thing is more steady of an investment, if anything. So you're probably not going to make as much money off that because everyone already knows what they have. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're looking at buying a top 1%, or 1 to 5% of who was the first pick, Bryce Young,
Yeah.
of Bryce Young's cards. What percentage of people do you think actually own that? It's probably only 1% of the hobby that own the top 1 to 5%. So do you think it's really like financially smart or even like collectionally smart, like as far as your collection of cards go, to try to go up against these big dogs that probably easily have $500,000 or more in cards? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
those are the kind of guys that end up with these big cards. So
Yeah.
like, are
Yeah.
you really going to try to get into that game? Are you really going to show up to a gunfight with a knife? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're just asking to lose a ton of money.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's
agree.
tough.
I,
It's tough. Let
I
me get
think at that point, go ahead. You go ahead and you start getting into that breaking aspect of it. You don't have the money to get those top 1%, but you can get into a nice break and hopefully hope and pray that you can hit a banger and do it that way. Similar to Shane Norton getting that Hulkster color
yeah.
blast.
Yeah. Shout out to
That
Shane, bro. That was
was
crazy.
nuts. That was nuts.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not so much winning the color blast, but then he got the Hulkster to respond to his post. So that was. I'm like, dude,
Talk about
yeah. I'm like, man, you like you better play the lottery or stay inside because you're gonna get hit with a lightning bolt. I don't know where you're at,
stay
but
inside.
yeah. Let me get some of these comments real quick. Mike Petty says, "Is it true PWCC had 30 layoffs today?" Oof. What about
Mm.
that vault? I do not know.
I didn't hear
Yeah, did
anything
not hear
about
about
that.
that.
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Big John says, "I don't want to know the prices of on NFL Prism next year. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be. It's definitely not going to be cheaper than this year. So that is for sure." 1956 Top Sky Matthew says the QB insanity. The QB insanity in the football hobby is such a turnoff to me. I'll take Peyton Sayers all day.
Dude, I love it.
Fair enough.
Shout
Fair
out to
enough.
Matt. He's
Yeah,
goats over prospects as well, man. I mean,
for
that's
sure. For sure. And let me bring in cousin Sal here.
Ooh.
Cousin Sal, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, good.
What's up,
Welcome
bro?
to
What's up, Rob?
Hobby
How are you,
Hang.
buddy?
what's up, Sal. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. I'm still reeling from about 20 minutes ago. How about you guys?
Dude, we got we got a heck of a steal there. I know there's a little off the field stuff with him, but
Yeah.
hopefully that stuff all pans itself out. But yeah, we're there's how he does it again, man. I'm like that guy. I would hate to be in his fantasy football league because
Yeah.
it
I
wouldn't,
mean,
it wouldn't be
I think
fair.
it was a smart choice with, I mean, you got aging players on that line with
Sure.
Fletcher Cox. Brandon
Yep.
Graham's probably going to be both of their last years. So
Yeah.
get this guy in there, train
Mhm.
him the right way, and he'll be ready to go when those guys,
Yeah.
hit the Hall of Fame, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. So Sal, you went up north, man. What's the
Whew.
card scene up in Canada like? Guys?
Oh,
Man,
no,
it
little bit.
was. Yeah. I mean, I was not much of an Expos, guru beforehand, but I feel like I certainly got a crash course up there, man. It was unbelievable. I spent the weekend up in Montreal with Perry G, who is a celebrity in his own right for Expos Fest. He runs an amazing charity for Expos Fest. Everything gets donated to the Montreal Children's Hospital. So they had a big weekend of autograph signings. I was up there. I spent the entire day with Vlad Guerrero. Speaking of Hall of Famers, Rob, I mean, I spent the entire day with Vlad. It was
senior.
yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. He was, there was a little bit of a language barrier, but he was the coolest guy.
You should have took me with you,
bro. next year, I'll book your flight.
Let's
Well,
go.
we drove up too, so it was a long car ride. It was me and Todd from Under the Radar Sports, so we bonded along the 8-hour car ride back, back and forth. So,
Wow.
but yeah, we did a whole private signing with Vlad Guerrero. The turnout for this guy was unbelievable, man. There was hundreds and hundreds of pieces for him, and he was a machine. He sat there and boom, 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 but knocked out like probably I'd say close to 500-600 pieces in a couple hours. It was unbelievable, man. But yeah, we got to do that. And then I hung out with Andre Dawson for a good portion of the day. So there was, and then it was just an incredible party after that. So, Saturday night was the actual gala, and they hit their goal of raising $1 million for the Children's Hospital. So it was a great time. Yeah, definitely check out Expos Fest on Instagram. A lot of my videos are being shared on there. I just posted a whole recap video on YouTube as well of the whole trip. So definitely check that out as well. Plugging myself here, but
no, absolutely. Go ahead. So that wasn't the Toronto Expo Fest. That's the or whatever the thing that Ken was at. Wasn't that? This
no,
was,
yeah,
Montreal Expo.
Different. Yeah. The Toronto Expo Fest was something different.
Yeah,
this was the Expos, like the team festival for the Expos. So, yeah, a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of former Expo players there. A lot of local celebrities. Everybody was speaking French, so I was a little out of place there. I don't know too much French. I picked up a little bonjour and merci. That's all I got from my weekend up there. But
that's all.
It was a great time for sure, man.
You guys from South Philly can acclimate to any.
Yeah, exactly. I make friends everywhere I go. You know what I mean? So language barrier or not, they know my name up there now. So that's a good thing.
There you go.
Dope. Let me get to this. James Lumen says, as far as with the modern guys, it's a total gamble with the bigger buys of the modern guys, and the percentage rises aren't what they were 2 years ago. People need to chill, buy within your budget, and don't sink your ship. That's the one thing. Like how much can these guys? I mean, we always talk about how much. Even if they win, it's those prices are baked in with 2-3 Super Bowls. So you gotta it's how do you perform on the field to make those cards go up? You can't.
Yeah.
It's strictly hot potato. It's just people trying to get. And I've talked about this in my pod before. I truly believe part of it is people just wanting to get their juices flowing, knowing they have between 10 and 50K into a single card, and privately in private they're like, FUCK, I better not lose my shirt on this. I need to find someone to buy this ASAP. It was a nice flex to post on Instagram, but I'm getting rid of it because if not, dude, this one card could take me out of the hobby if I don't.
I completely agree with you, man. I was listening to you guys as you were talking earlier, the whole flipping thing. I mean, that is not an entry level art form to get involved in. If you, and I completely agree with you. If you're just getting into the collecting game, or you were in it years ago and you think you could step back into it nowadays, things have completely changed with the high end pricing of cards. I mean, I don't get involved with much of the newer guys. I'm on board with you, Rob. I invest in Hall of Famers, veterans, local legends that I know will never be dead stock. I mean, you invest thousands of dollars in these cards, and this guy, might play 1 or 2 games in the NFL, and then your money is shot. If you do buy a card of that high value, sell it immediately. If you get into a break and you hit a prospect that's worth $5,000, $6,000, take that $4,000 prop and sell it and get rid of it and never look back, man. That's my advice to people if you're getting into the hobby, man.
I mean, just think about the whole San Francisco 49ers situation with their 3 quarterbacks. I mean, they got rid of Garoppolo now, but at the point, you had 3 quarterbacks that were literally, playing or not, or this guy got hurt, and then here comes Brock Purdy, the Brocky, the next big thing, and then everybody jumped onto that bandwagon, then he gets hurt. So now it's like, okay, who's going to be what? And now they're talking about trade. But yeah, man, you start picking up the wrong guys or following the, that train that everybody hopped on, and you can get really burnt real quick, man.
Yeah. And hold up real quick. So, because I want you to talk, that kind of piggybacks off what you wanted to talk about real quick with Giannis and Tatum. But before that, let me tag in yet another tag team partner. Now it's officially a party. Big Ken in the house.
What's up, fellas?
He heard about the prospecting.
You know what? It's funny because I was just sitting here backstage listening, and I thought to myself, man, if I would have just listened to that advice a year and a half ago, I'd be up about 50K right now. All I hit and brace, I held on to them. I'm like, oh, these are worth a fortune, and then they ended up being worth nothing. Yeah,
that's crazy. So Oz, and I actually want to get everybody's take on this. Talk about you mentioned to me before about Giannis and Tatum, just their market, and talk about before you get into it. I think Giannis is kind of like that's it. Like I don't
Yeah.
see something really crazy that I think it's going to hold steady from here on out. But you wanted to talk about just kind of what happened in regards to the last night's games and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about Giannis is one of the big boys when it comes to the NBA. Obviously, Jason Tatum is like the hobby darling when it comes to basketball. Everybody loves Jason Tatum. So I'm getting to the point now. You see Atlanta, taking them to the brink. It's now 80-76. Atlanta's winning right now against Boston, so it could go to a game 7. If Jason Tatum doesn't, he's been his last 3 games, he's like 8 for 29, 8 for 27, 8 for 30. So he's not having really good games. But we know in the hobby, he's like I said, the hobby darling. And then you have Giannis,
And that's
who he
Tatum,
kind of
Tatum you're talking about?
yeah, Jason Tatum.
A lot of people I feel like have like low key for the last couple of years been like he's a pretender. I don't think he's a contender, but sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, but that's my point. There's I think half the hobby is all in, and then there's other half that's like, nah, he's good. He's a good player, and he has the potential to be great, but you have yet to see him reach it. He's too inconsistent with his play. Giannis, I think he hit what he had to do. He had a couple MVPs. He won a championship. He proved that he can carry a team and get all the way. This year, obviously, I mean, Jimmy Butler doing his thing. Shout out to Jimmy Butler. I miss him with the Sixers, man. That dude, if you have him on your team, you love him. If not, you freaking hate the shit out of him. But that dude, he went and he took the heart of Milwaukee, and he ran with him, never looked back.
Did you see that
Yes.
clip of what Charles Barkley said
No.
about him last night? Was it last night or the night before? He said, listen, I've seen a lot of playoff games in my career. He said, and I think that the greatest playoff performance was LeBron when he scored 25 straight and 29 out of 30. Remember when he did that? That was nuts. It was like godlike, what LeBron did. And he said, in watching Jimmy Butler have a night like he had, that was the greatest playoff performance I've ever seen in my life. He said, of all the games he's watched, he said that Jimmy Butler performance.
Bro, did you see? I mean, the inbound pass. I mean, he did get away with a push off, but just to catch that and to send it into overtime.
The guy almost fell over.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, I think that kind of Giannis stays and Tatum, we'll see. He's got to get past the those guys first, and if he gets past them, then he's got to get past JoJo and the boys. So we'll
Giannis
see.
is going viral right now with his post game.
You know what? That was awesome. Do anybody know it by heart? Because it was a very great answer.
Oh yeah, that was him saying you can't win it every year. Not everyone.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying because the reporter asked him, "Do you consider this season a failure?" And he just kind of dropped his head, like, "Man, I can't believe you asked me that question." He said,
Again, because he asked at the same time last year. That's what it was. He said you asked me the same question last year, and then he went into his rant.
And then he went into it. He was just like, Michael Jordan played, however many years, and he won like, 6 titles. Like, do you consider those other years failures for him? Like, I'm working towards something. You can't win the title every year. There's only one team that wins. Every other team, that's not necessarily a failure. You learn from it. You learn from your experience. And that's, a lot of that goes to how people live their lives too. You don't consider things failures. You consider them learning experiences, right? And what do you learn from this? And how do you make yourself better for the next time that you're in that position? And I thought it was a great quote. Some people are saying anybody who's think that mindset is soft or whatever. I don't agree with that. I think that, it was a tough fought, battle. He's working his butt off, and he's going to come back next year even stronger and even better than he did this year. And, you're working towards the ultimate goal. You're not going to win it every single year. That doesn't mean it's a failure. I agree with him.
Yeah, Cardboard Collaborator takes the other side. He said everyone is praising that answer, but if you lose when your goal is to win, then yes, it's a failure. Doesn't mean it wasn't a learning experience, but it's a failure. So yeah, potato.
I know if the Sixers lose and don't get out of the second round, it's a failure.
That's a failure. Yeah, that's definitely a failure.
Well, yeah. If you're the odds-on favorite and you I consider the Eagles' Super Bowl loss a failure because they had the game in their hands, right? They were going into the game at halftime with a double-digit lead. They were, for the first time, not considered an underdog. They were the favorite, right? Everyone thought they were going to win. When you blow a game like that, yeah, you have failed in certain aspects of that game and that strategy. but it's what you learn from that experience that makes it not a failure, in my opinion. I've failed a million times in my life, but doesn't mean that my life is a failure.
Yeah.
Amen.
So let's transition to some wins. Ken, you got your boy there handy?
Yeah, are we ready to have a?
Yeah, we're gonna have
debate?
dueling mics here.
Whoa.
So
Look, I even got the purple. I don't know.
PMGs?
I got a lot of
Yeah,
lead. I got the purple
dueling,
slab
right.
mag too.
That's awesome. Dueling PMGs. So
This
I
ain't
told
about the
there you
horse,
go.
but-
Wait, everyone's
Yeah.
whipping out their
Everybody get their
What's going on?
PMGs out.
Come on.
So
I'm in
basically,
Florida.
yeah, basically I wanted to get talking to Rob, he's like, hey, I want to get into the nuts and bolts of this thing, and we kind of talked about it a little bit on both of our shows. Ken picking his up over, that's crazy that you found the north of the border. That's wild.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys, and and feel free to kind of bounce things back and forth. Oz, I'll go to you first. Just your strategies or just the way you kind of approach buying a card or even pricing a card that doesn't have many comps, doesn't have much of anything going on. How do you price it, or how do you approach the dealer? Say the deal. I mean, he could have a $10 million price tag. He's like, yeah, well, buy it or not. So kind of what's your thought process behind either selling that card or trying to purchase it?
I mean, obviously, it's two different trains of thoughts if you're trying to sell it or if you're trying to purchase
Yeah, let's
it.
talk about trying to purchase it, because nobody here has sold one yet. So
Yeah, except for Rob.
I don't think Rob sold it.
Tatum. No, but he sold his Tatum and
yeah. So all right. Let's all take the purchasing approach, and then Rob can give the dealer side about that.
yeah. So I mean, as far as purchasing approach, it's tough when there is no comps on a specific card, especially a rare one. If it's a 1-of-1 or something like this, the PMG, where let's keep it honest, people that have these cards, they're gonna ask for the moon when it's like, okay, there's not many out here. This is a higher grade. A lot of these chip, especially the PMG. So if I have a decent grade on here, I'm going to ask for a lot of money. And it's not, yesterday's price is no longer today's price. It's whatever somebody's willing to pay for that. And people that own these types of cards, they're okay keeping them in their possession. I mean, unless they get a little bit desperate and they need the money. And that's when things kind of change. And that's when you'll see these things pop up on auction or something like that, when somebody's has to clear house and make that money. But if you have these cards, you're doing fine financially and you want to get the most out of that, you love that card. To get that, you really have to work hard and see, because there's, 9 times out of 10, there may not be that specific card have that comp, but you can find something similar to that. And then you can say, okay, I see another PMG, for example, Hulk Hogan sold for this, and Hulk Hogan, Mike Tyson, they're kind of, not non-sport, but not traditional sports. So you could easily say, okay, that was a PSA 8, this one's an 8.5, this one sold for that. So you can look at it, they're both GOATs, obviously. So then you can go ahead and start trying to figure out. And then, sometimes, like I said, some of those, they go on auction and then the price is really low. So it's not going to be that low that you saw when it was like 3,000 or 4,000 that you saw it at. And it's probably not going to be that 12,000 that person was asking for it. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle, and there's nothing wrong. I wouldn't call it a low ball offer, but it's a starting position where you're comfortable. Like if they were to say, yeah, that's fair, you're cool with making that deal. And then from there, you just start the back and forth, the dance, and go from there, man.
Yeah.
Ken,
Go ahead.
I can say from being on both sides of that. So I've had cards that are really low pop 1 or pop 2, and having those cards, I know it's hard to move. They're hard to move. Like you're putting a price on it because this is what you feel because this car is so rare, and somebody else is coming in and saying, well, there's not a lot of comps on it. They're giving you 100 excuses why they shouldn't pay a lot of money. So I have a whole new outlook on these really low pop cards that I know people have trouble selling them. Right. And on the opposite side of it, when and I'm going to refer to the PMG, this Tyson, when I saw it, I was in another country and I was looking at those dollars. And even then I said that I think that's a great price for that card. Because I want that card, I'm probably going to pay. And then I started to realize, oh, wait a minute, I can convert this money to US. And now all of a sudden, to me, this card was way under comps for me that I was like figuring out a way quickly how to buy this, but it still took a day and a half for me to get this card. But this show had a lot of people in it, but nobody was buying this card. Nobody was showing up to their case saying, this is the card I want. So I felt pretty comfortable that I was going to buy this card at a good price.
Yeah. I need to go PMG hunting in like Cambodia. I would just make it rain. But Rob, talk to me on the dealer side when you're trying to figure this stuff out.
Well, and I'll definitely touch on that, man. But I want to say that, Ken, you did an incredible job this week on your podcast of painting the picture and totally talking about every minute detail of the deal that I truly felt like I was there. And those are comments that I think I used to get early on in my podcast episodes about when I used to really talk about the intricacies of my deal. So if I painted a picture like you painted a picture this week talking about this deal, then I'd be proud to say that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, man. So when it comes to these cards, right, like my Hulk Hogan PMG, right, just like all three of these cards, right, there's only 6 cards in the set. It's only numbered out of 125. There's only 32 of them tops graded. So that tells me that probably 32 people had their entire set graded, because if you look on the PSA Pop report, like all 6 cards are like 30 graded, 31 graded, 32, 32, 32. So that tells me that like probably 32 people got this set graded, and it might even be that when they got their grades, they might have popped them out once or twice and tried to resubmit them. So there could be even less than that graded of all these cards. But regardless, when I had the opportunity to get this card, I actually bought mine from the great curator, and he asked me at the time, I usually tell what I pay for it, what I did, what I did, but he asked me last year when I bought it from him not to tell anyone what I paid for mine. I think he had like 2 or 3 more, so he didn't want to like skew the comps in any kind of way. I'm sure he's trying to make as much money as he can off them. He has every right to. And I definitely overpaid for mine. I definitely overpaid to the great curator for my Hogan PMG, but no one was holding a gun to my head. I made that decision. There's really no comps to go off of. And just like Oz always says, right? He's like, no one's making anyone do anything. Everyone kind of has freedom of choice. And I absolutely had freedom of choice. A Hulk PMG a few months late, like 6 months later, went for less than what I paid the great curator in a private deal, but it went on auction less. So of course I was like, man, I wish I could have went for more. I would have felt better about my purchase. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter though, because I still have it and I'm happy with it. And it's worth, just like they say about any card. You could say this about like the Luka Prism base rookie, like that has millions and millions of comps, or you could say it about this. The card is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So if someone's willing to pay, $10K for a Mike Tyson PMG, it's worth $10K.
Right.
To them.
Yeah.
If I could jump in real quick on that point about comps and what the cards are worth. I saw an interesting thing on Cage, right? Cage Lawyer. He said, somebody sold a card for $100, but the comp, talking about like eBay comps and what the last card has sold for, right? And they said, with the eBay fees, you're selling a card for $100, but with the fees and the shipping and everything like that, the seller's getting $87. So that is the comp of the card, $87, right? So that card's worth $87, not $100. I'm like, the deal with people always comparing eBay comps and the prices of the sales on eBay. If people continuously say you need to sell below comp, right? You need to sell below comp. That shows you need to price your cards below comps, right? Eventually, won't that card dwindle down and be worth nothing if everybody is incentivized to sell at below comps? I mean, I feel like if I have a card that consistently sells at $100, right, between $100 and $150, I'm going to price it at $100. I'm going to stick to that price. I'm not going to look at the last sale that might have been $75 a month or two ago and say that that's the value of the card. It's an ebb and flow. It's an average. So I go against people strictly using eBay sale prices as a comp and a value for the card, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Let me jump in just for 2 seconds, and then you guys can have it. I think completely agree, and I think every single person, I say this all the time, like I beat this drum. Everyone has the right to be high on their cards. Like there's no law. I've seen people get pissed off when like a dealer was asking too much for their card. It's like, dude. He can ask whatever he wants to. He can ask 10 times what the comp is. Doesn't mean it's going to sell, but anyone has the right to be behind their cards. But you know where I think a lot of this comes from with people always wanting to be under comps? I truly blame the flippers. And this is why I blame the flippers. And I'm not saying at one point in the last few years I was definitely dipping my toe in the flip game, but it was really because I was trying to level up to get this great PC, but regardless of the fact. So the reason why flippers do this is because what they'll do is flippers are always cash heavy. They, the flippers I know anyways, 50K in cash in their pocket.
They roll deep, yeah.
In their PayPal. So they'll literally go and cash someone out and they'll get their cards at 60% comps because they're literally buying everything cash. So it's like, yeah, that person's going to let you cash them out. So now these flippers are buying cards at 60% comps. So then they never have a problem moving those big cards. You know why? Because they're selling them at 80% comps. So they're still making like 20%.
Yeah.
They're still making 20%, which any one of us would kill to make 20% on our cards, right? But they're able to because they're cash heavy. So then when like the general public or us collectors start seeing like, wow, things are going for 80% comps. Maybe that's the standard, then that's why the masses end up demanding cards under comps. But you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Let me real quick read this here. Cardboard Collaborative says low pop stuff is when knowing a particular market and trusting your knowledge. Can't just go at 80% of comp because it doesn't constantly sell. So yeah, it's always that game, man. And Cardboard Trap House says, I agreed, and tell them that the last couple comps means there's a couple more cars off the market. So this is worth more now. So that's true. And that's fair. Cause like, say like, Ken, are you even going to entertain moving this thing anytime soon other than, so this is off the market now.
Not even going to the shows, not even going in my
so
case.
like, this is like, you're taking the Craig approach. You're like, not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So now, this Tyson now is out of 123 because there's two out of 125 that aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. And because we've both been looking for this card.
Yeah.
The last time I saw one of these cards for sale, right, was in an auction house back in October, right? And since then I haven't seen one for sale. So when I showed up at this show and I ran into this card in someone's case, I mean, I knew I was going to buy it. It was just a matter of how much I was going to pay for it. Yeah. And one other thing I want to say that I've started as a dealer setting up when it comes to comps and stuff, and people start really trying to hit like, oh, I want to be at 87% or 88 or 91. I tell them, look, here, you're showing me the comps, but I'm showing you what's available. Like, where can you buy this card right now? Even if you went to eBay, I mean, even to buy it now on this card is $100, and you're telling me you want it for $80. You can't buy it online for $80. So why should I sell you the card for $80? And I reprice. I go through prices before every show. The night before, I go through every card. I look at all the comps and I reprice every single card. So I know exactly where I am when I show up to a show, and I know what the last sales were. And if somebody shows up and tries to, I'm just like, no, I mean, this is the price of the card. This is the best deal you're going to get, or this is equal to what the buy it now is on eBay, and you're not paying, fees on it. So
see, I feel like at that point you're going to be you're doing too much arguing with the person. You at this point they're not buying it, you're not selling it. Like, I don't even go into that whole explanation as to why I price it whatever. I just say, I'm a little higher than that.
I like to talk to people.
That's remember, Ken's a teacher though.
Or I got the guy last show that I did where he was picking out a couple cards. I had some massive value bins, right? $1 to $5, $5 to $15 or whatever it may be. Picks out like 3 or 4 cards. He's at like $10, right? And he's like, now, what if I give you 50 cents for the rest of these cards? Can I get all the rest of these cards in your boxes for 50 cents? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, what do you like? I understand you're trying to make a deal and you're trying to make money, but there's $5, $10 cards in there, and you want to buy all of them for 50 cents. Yeah, I have a whole box of 50-cent cards, but the rest of them are $5 to $10. Like, that's crazy. Like, yeah, and then what do I have to do? I have to go through and count every single card in my mega 4,000 boxes and make sure that I'm on point with that. I don't understand. I mean, I get people trying to do that to make the money, but to me, I'm not going to sell my whole table for 50 cents a card just for convenience. You know, at the very start of the show, he was the first person that came up to my table and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to knock me out for the rest of the day, bro?
That's a
Yep.
little tough. Before I go to the next topic, I do want to get this little quick mail day in from cousin Sal, and this is dope, bro. It's dope.
Now, Tony, you gonna give Oz his, or are you gonna keep? No,
You weren't supposed to say
flipping
that.
it, man. Don't go.
I was gonna say
This is
I didn't know anything about it.
yeah, this is going on. This is going on consignment.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know, and by the way, Sal, thank you very much for doing the flyer for us for trade night, which I got to get you, Rob. As soon as you get me that logo, I'll get it to our guy Sal so we can finish that thing and get it out. But so Sal is a master at creating movie like posters, and this is a Randall Cunningham Ultimate Weapon poster that this is fire, man. I'm definitely taking this to the next Philly show when Randall's there and
Appreciate it.
have it signed. But yeah, that is really cool, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had fun with that one, man. I get these ideas in my head because I was a graphic designer for, many years, and I just recently sold my advertising agency to focus on sports full time. So I still have that designer bug in the back of my head. You see a background. I design these posters, and I get custom things signed by these athletes just because I was talking the first time I was on your podcast. I told I run out of things to get signed by these guys. I go to so many signings. So, I started designing my own stuff, and these movie posters, I thought it was kind of cool to take like the Ultimate Weapon, right? That was his nickname, right? So turn that into what would that look like if it was an 80s style movie poster. So I based it off of Lethal Weapon, the first original Lethal Weapon movie poster. Yeah. And I put Randall's images in there, and you can't contain or control him. You can only hope to contain him. It's like the tab. He is the ultimate weapon, and I did like a whole movie trailer on my Instagram. So it was pretty fun. But yeah, I enjoy that stuff, man. I know you guys are big Eagles fans, so I'm happy it's in a good home for sure, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. We'll see if Oz gets his. We'll see. It might get lost in the mail. We'll see.
I got a couple more for sale if anyone needs. Oz, I'll charge you. Don't worry.
There you go. So I want to ask you guys for sure. And Rob had brought this up. We were texting the other day. Ken, I'll go to you first. He says, are we seeing more individualized and unique collecting as opposed to a herd mentality that we were probably seeing, 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that? Ken, what are your thoughts on that? You're seeing a little bit more people collecting what they're about as opposed to
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people too. I think when people like myself jumped back in during the pandemic, there was a blueprint. Everybody was, if it was football, it was quarterbacks, and you had to have the certain ones, and it had to be Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and these were the guys. Like all the other cards meant nothing. They were zero. You had to do this. And I think what happened was when the hobby reset a little bit last year, I think people started saying, took a step back and really evaluated what they were doing and said, I think the hobby tells me I should be doing this, but I really like these cards instead. And you see, like, if you look behind me, I have, women's soccer and women's basketball, WNBA behind me, right? Those aren't things that everyone's collecting, but it's what I like. I love these cards. I know what I want to get. Now they're my PC cards. I'm not dragging them to the shows. I'm not putting in the thing, so when I'm going to shows, I'm selling things I know it's going to sell at a show. But if I wasn't doing that and I was strictly just collecting, I would literally be in my own lane collecting, right? I mean, there's other people out there that do it. I'm meeting so many people when I'm talking about it on the podcast, right? I get so many people responding like, oh, I love the women's soccer cards, or I love the WNBA, and this is what I have, and show me this, and I'll show you that type of things. But it really makes me part of another community within the hobby, which I really like. And it's really driving me to do these things. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. I think once you sit back and you realize what you like and what keeps you in it and what keeps you going and looking for things like Mike Tyson cards or things like that, then I think it becomes more fun. Right. I think that's really what the hobby's supposed to be, right? Fun. And I think that's why you see people going off into these other lanes, collecting just, unusual stuff, but they like it.
Yeah. I turn the tables over to the epitome of this, people's mailman. This is him. This is the eyes all day right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, man, it just came to a point where when I first started, just like Ken was talking about, you come in, you just see all the bells and whistles, the fireworks, everybody, they're buying something today, and by Friday, it's doubled in value. Your son, it doesn't matter what it was, and everything was just going crazy. So in your mind, you're like, man, I could really, not only make a living, but I could get rich off this stuff if I do it right. I'm a little bit older. I got some disposable income. If I make the right buys and I can get it cheap here, and that player, if I, that gambling aspect, if I'm able to go ahead and pick the right player, and I can, easily double my money, within a month or so. So you just get into that mindset, and it becomes that herd mentality, because there's only certain types of players that, that work that way. Like you were saying, the Justin Herberts and, the Patrick Mahomes, and, for the quarterbacks. And then you look at the basketball, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and obviously, some of the GOATs were even getting in there at one point. But then you get to the point where you realize, yeah, I'm not going to become a millionaire overnight. It's not happening. I'm not that smart. And I don't have enough money to make that happen. So then it became, you know what? This is a pretty damn cool hobby. You know what I mean? Like I just happened upon this thing, and I really love collecting cards, man. I did it as a kid, stopped when I got into college, and, found it again. And it just, that passion for it, man. And then you start to realize, okay, what did I really love that brings that nostalgia back? And that's when you start dipping into other things that gets away from the herd mentality. And everybody's, it's their own preference. Everybody's an individual. They have different ways they grew up, and different players, and they're all over the world, so they could pick any player, and it could be somebody that's obviously, might not be a GOAT, but to them that was their favorite player, so it hits them in the feels. And so why not take that player and get the best cards possible? We talk about the top 1% of those cards. So if you can get a player like, say, Allen Iverson, he's a top 75 player. He's a Hall of Famer, never won championships, won an MVP. So he's like mid-tier to low level when it comes to the hobby as far as prices are concerned. And if you want to build a nice PC, you can. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but nothing, crazy like Sal. I know you dive into Jordan, which can be, pretty costly if you get the the right cards. But yeah, man, it's just go with what you love, man. And we say that so many times: collect what you love, collect what you like. But I mean, it really is, man. And at the end of the day, if you're building that and you're curating your collection to the best of your ability, with the funds that you have, not overstressing yourself, because this hobby, you can make it into something that becomes stressful. So like, just relax, treat it as a hobby, and just curate your collection to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Sal?
Yeah, I mean, to build off of that too, is you have to realize, if you're getting into this hobby, a lot of these people that are dealing with those big time cards, they've been doing it for a while. They have disposable income. They have lots of disposable. It might not have come from just flipping cards, right? A lot of these people inherit a lot of money, right? Maybe their moms and dads have come up with the trust fund, disposable income, whatever it might be. But because that you see other people doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing for you to do, right? You can watch it and enjoy it and appreciate some of these big time cards, but you don't have to own that card, because what are you going to do with it? You're going to get that card. Are you going to try and flip it and make money? Because that's going to be, I mean, that's a career choice. If you're getting into flipping cards, right? You're going to have to spend all of your time doing research, looking at, the history of these guys, digging into statistics on all these players, right? For me, I don't have time for that. And I don't want to invest the money and the time and the mental fortitude to have to follow all of these up and coming players and all these prospects who may never even play a game in the big leagues. You know what I mean? It's just not worth my time. Yeah, you could hit big, and if I really wanted to get into it, you could. But for me, Ozzy, goes back to, like you said, collect what you love, and you'll never be disappointed in your collection, right? I mean, there's cards in my collection that I still have from when I was a kid that are worth $1, but I'll never sell it, because when I go through my collection, I look at that card and it brings me back to a specific moment in time, right?
Mhm.
It brings me back to, I remember going into the card shop when I was 10 years old with my dad and buying that Mickey Mantle card and that Willie Mays card or whatever it might be. And every time I see it, I think of that. And that's never going to get old for me. So, you could always, there's always something new and hot trend to chase, but I feel like it's a fool's game if you're trying to get into it at this stage in collecting. Maybe if you pick one player that you feel is going to be a hot prospect and you want to go all in on that player, the bigger the risk, the bigger the gamble you're taking. Yeah, the bigger the reward, but also the bigger the fail could be. Like you were talking about earlier, you could fail by losing, your life savings. That to me would be a failure.
Yeah, that's a bit of a failure. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was just going to say too, a lot, something I felt and I talked about through my season 1 on my podcast, which I really didn't even realize I was saying. What I was saying was I felt it was hobby credibility, right? It was trying to get even bigger cards and bigger cards in my case and bigger cards. And then people would come around, they'd be like, oh, wow, and I felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing, putting all these big cards in there. And then all of a sudden I realized the bigger the card, the more risk, the more risk I'm taking on the cards. And after you get like a Mac Jones debacle, right? And you start saying, okay, well, maybe I don't want to start investing in these young new guys so much in these bigger cards. Maybe my lane is low end cards. And if they do fail or if things go wrong or the prices drop, I'm not getting hurt so much on those cards, because at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for a living. I'm just doing this to have fun. I enjoy the hobby. I'm making some money. I'm buying some PC cards, but I'm not getting rich on it. I'm not paying a mortgage or anything like that. So I really don't need to, start investing a whole lot of, into these really high end cards. There's no reason for me to be there. There's no reason for me to be in that lane.
Yeah, I think most average Joe collectors, I guess you call, kind of fall into that lane where it's just at the end of the day, I'm just trying to build my PC. Actually, I was listening to the Too Thick podcast today. Those guys were talking about, which, by the way, we're gonna have to go out to the Midwest, because when they talk about shows, it sounds like I think they're in Disney World, not you, Oz, because it's always like the shows are really cool and just things are moving and grooving, so they're having a great time out there. And they were talking about where the $1 to $50 cards are moving because 9 out of 10 people can afford those cards.
Yeah.
Not everybody can. That 5,000, 6,000, that doesn't work. It takes some time to get up there.
Yeah.
And those cards don't move as well.
Yeah.
I'd
And
rather
grading is affordable.
$110 cards, right? I'd rather buy $110 cards than a $1,000 card, because what are you going to make $1,000? You're going to sell for $1,500. If I make, if I have $110 cards and I sell them for $20 each, I'm making more money in the long run than I would be flipping that one individual card. So, and there's a lot less risk, like you talked about, Ken.
Yeah, that's fair. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys, so we talked about hobby guilty pleasures this weekend. I talked about one of mine was just pairing some of these guys up and watching auctions like a goofball at night. And Oz talked about shining his slabs, things like that. So I wanted to ask you guys, Ken, any hobby guilty pleasures you got that you want to admit here in front of millions of people?
I still like to partake in some breaks. I as much as I talk against them a lot. I try to, similar with the cards, right? I try to make the risk as low as possible, right? So recently, I'm buying into breaks with like Trinity Rodman, like a soccer break, right? In a box, for a full case break, which I know I'm probably going to get 15 or 20 cards out of it. And I'm figuring out if I can buy into this for $60, $70, $80, because nobody really wants them, right? They all want, they're coming out of the boxes with the men in them, right? So, I mean, I just look at things like that. So I get in, so there's something about watching breaks, right? Because sometimes when I'm here working in the office, I'll just put a break on and it'll be playing, and I just get mesmerized by watching them open cards up, right? There's just something about it, right? So, and then sometimes I jump in and I say, like, I want to get in. I did some investing in Desmond Ritter, right? So here's a young quarterback, and tonight when the Falcons took a running back, I was the most excited guy in Connecticut, right? Because now he's going to be the starting quarterback, right? So here's cards I could put in my case, and I was buying them when people were just trying to get rid of him, thinking he was a bum. So
yeah, that's fair.
like that.
Yeah. I know you talked about. I mean, you said you kind of used to like dabbling a little bit in the casino, so that little gambler thing is still there a little bit, and hey,
still
so
there.
just break responsibly. As they say.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Sal, you got anything there?
Yeah, I've been dabbling in a couple little breaks every once in a while here, but it seems like for whatever reason, I've had some beginner's luck. I haven't. The first one I did was maybe a couple, 6 months ago, maybe. And every one that I've gotten into, I just stuck with one breaker, and every time I've picked only Philly teams, right? But there was one that I had like the Orioles for it was like $25 for the Orioles. I ended up hitting like a Will Clark auto relic, as well as like a BGO. Like, I hit like a couple really good cards in every break that I'm like, all right, this luck is not going to last forever. So excited, right? That doesn't mean you need to double up and go again, right? No, you need to pace yourself. But talking about like guilty pleasures and everything like that, man, I was setting up for a card show for the first time in a long time, and just going through my old cards and putting them into new penny sleeves, new top loaders, taking them out of the mat. Like I tend to feel like I'm always rearranging my collection somehow, right? My personal collection, whether it's putting them into a new case or taking the one touches are getting a little too thick. I got to take them all out and put them into card savers now so I can save up room. But I really enjoy that process of just going through the cards and manually handling them and putting them into the sleeves. And it's therapeutic for me. It's kind of peaceful, So to me, that's a little bit of my guilty pleasures when I could just have a few moments or an hour by myself and just mess around with my cards, man. That's really, it's momentary. It's my moment of zen, I'll say.
Yeah, I was doing that last night. And I was texting with the commission. I'm like, I said, I'm right now. I'm sorting cards. I was rearranging my case, and he just put a big love because that's his thing all day. He's like, dude, I'm addicted to just sorting cards. I like to just go through them and put them in order and stuff. So I totally get that.
Yeah, he got a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, fellas, coming down the home stretch here, we do a card of the week segment. I don't know if you guys have any cards handy there. But I'll go first if you want to grab something. But feeding into my guilty pleasure, like I said, I kind of spoiled it a little earlier. But these are 2005. These are actually from the 2004 season, but they're 2005 cards. Topps Finest. I didn't post these yet, but these will be my next kind of duo. And these are the green refractors. One is Donovan McNabb there, and he goes with Terrell Owens. So that'll be kind of my, like I said, my guilty pleasure is putting these two guys who downright hate each other. I like to put them together in situations as much as I can to keep the party going, as they say.
Yeah,
but,
it's never gonna change, bro. You can't bring back
in my mind. It is.
In
my mind, it is. I'm gonna will it to happen. I'm gonna change the record books. And it's gonna happen one card at a time. So that's what I got. Oz, do you have any? Did you bring anything with you there?
No, I didn't.
How is the hunting going for the Kakawao?
There is no Kakawao, bro. I've been looking and searching. Went to Disney Springs, went up and down all the Disney stores there. Went to Hollywood Studios, could not find any Kakawao. So if you're not familiar, that's a Disney 100. The hottest cards on the market now. Tony and I were flipping through at eBay and seeing some of his cards and what the prices they're going for. 101 Minnie Mouse gold was going for like 40,000. Then there was a Rock, the actual Rock, Dwayne Johnson in his one movie, which was 99,000. PS. Yeah, it was like insane. These, obviously these are just asking prices, but it's crazy, man.
We should have talked before I went to Toronto, because when I showed up on Friday, I was talking to somebody else. I'm like, what is with all these Disney 100 boxes? I mean, everybody's table had them stacked up. It was $265 Canadian money, which would have ended up being, I guess, around 200, 206, something around there. And,
Yeah, bro.
and he started telling me, oh, these things are really popular. They're gonna be getting bigger. And I thought to myself, maybe we'll see how today goes. Maybe I'll pick some up tomorrow. Saturday, nobody had one box. They were wiped out. They were gone. So,
Dude, they're selling on eBay for like 650 or more.
wow.
So yeah, if you could have got them for 200, that whew.
Ken would have been stopped at the border, sir. You have
I've got
300
nothing to
boxes of
declare.
yeah. Like, what's going on here?
Myself getting super excited about pulling like an Ariel Under the Sea card. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my kids would, but yes, Minnie Mouse Gold Refract. What? I don't know.
Yeah,
but hey, I'll take the 40,000 if I do pull it. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're good. You're good. So Cardboard Collaborator says there's 3 Disney card sets out currently, so they aren't all the same. So I mean, if that's your thing, just be on the lookout. But and obviously, card of the week was this one, but we've talked about that one at length. Tyson. But Ken, you got anything there?
I do, and this goes into my little break thing. Coming back from Canada, I was sitting in the airport and I bought into a break, and by the time I got home and went on and watched the break, after I'd actually had the case hit of the Trinity Rodman card, so I'm not going to pull it out of the case, but the night moves.
Okay,
so that was pretty exciting. And the other card I picked up was her. It's the Onyx. I know it's hard to tell, but it's an autograph. It's an on-card autograph. I'll turn it sideways, and it shows, 2021 player, rookie of the year. So, and they're both Trinity Rodman. So, yeah, I mean, I did get the PMG, but I was just as excited to get these 2 cards of somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just talking about, collecting the, what you love and, getting. So I'm just as excited getting cards that are probably worth a few $100 worth, cards that are, worth thousands of dollars. It's the same, that same feeling.
Yeah, that's the thing with some of that stuff. I mean, I've gotten some goofy cards here that, when I got the Ninja Turtle cards, they're nothing crazy, but I was like, finally. I've been since a kid, I couldn't get all the stickers. So I have them now, and I'm just as excited for that as all the other stuff. And it goes back to what we were talking about, just individualized collecting, man. It's just, Sal, got anything there for you?
Yeah, actually, I should say. So this is one that, speaking of what Ken was talking about, I hit in a break a couple weeks ago, and it's not technically a card, but it is a redemption. So I'm excited. Okay. It's a top 22 Topps Stadium Club Chrome Bryce Harper red auto parallel refractor. So this is out of 5 Bryce Harper auto card. So I already put it into Topps, and it says it's in process. We'll see how quick. Bryce is typically a quick signer for Topps, and I know he's injured, so he's not doing much right now. So hopefully I'll get my card pretty soon before he comes back. That's the thing. The card is probably worth like $500-600 when I get it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it. Do I hold it? Do I immediately try and sell it for a profit? I'm not sure yet. I have to figure that out. I mean, I love the Phillies. I love Bryce Harper. I only have one other Bryce Harper auto, but he's going to be here for the next 10 years. Is the card going to go up in value? Is it going to go down? I don't know. I have to kind of figure out what I want to do with it once it arrives.
Yeah.
Well, that's
hey,
fair.
one quick note. On Sunday, I'm going to be seeing Mike Tyson at the Shriners, the Shriners show in Massachusetts. So I'm going to take a picture with him holding this.
Nice. I was about to ask you. I was like, I
thought you were going to get it signed. I was like, no.
No.
He crack it out.
He won't sign. I was gonna go get a card signed with him once before, and they was like, no, he doesn't sign cards. You have to have something else, some other memorabilia autographed. But this would be perfect, just to show up and just get a picture taken with him holding it. So
yeah, absolutely. Debbie says, save the Bryce. Got to keep it for the PC. There you go. Debbie's gonna be watching you.
Bucks, and I hit that. It was like the case hit on that one. I was like, all right, that's a nice score there. It's, if I sell it, I'll make an extra 500 on it. But it might end up staying in the PC. He's going to be a legend here in Philly when he's done.
This to break says sign the slab. Yeah, Tyson will not sign. Ken, you can just talk about that real quick. And damn, I'm so jelly of you right now. I wish I could be up there, but that'd be awesome. But talk about Tyson with the stuff he signs. Even I think you had a card one time. It didn't happen.
Yeah, the autograph fest at the American Dream Mall. It was just about a year ago, I guess. He was there signing, and I knew he was going to be there, so I spent a lot of time online, finding one of his rookie cards. In fact, it's in right. I get my there right there. That's it right there. It ended up, coming back in 8 because I said I'm just going to send it off, and get it graded. But I had it raw, and I got the card. I was so excited. I showed up, and they said no, he doesn't sign any cards. Like he'll sign a poster, he'll sign a glove, he'll sign a pair of trunks, anything like that. But he can't sign, for some reason, he can't sign any trading cards.
Interesting.
So
I have a story too, if you guys got one more minute.
Go ahead.
So he was appearing last year at a weed dispensary in New Jersey, right? So I took a road trip to the dispensary. You didn't have to pull my arm too hard, but I ended up going to the dispensary and meeting Mike Tyson. The line was wrapped around the building. I have a whole video about it on my Instagram. But when I got up to, it was my turn next, right? He started getting a big bowl of fruit, right? A mixed bowl of fruit. And it was like, the catering guy brought it to him, and he started getting into it with this catering guy right before I sat down with him.
No.
There's supposed to be blackberries in this fruit, man. Where are my blackberries at? These are blueberries. I don't want this shit, right? And I'm sitting there like, I'm next. Right? so I end up going and sitting down next to Mike Tyson. He signs my picture, right? And then he cuts the line off right after me. There's probably 250 people behind me. No more autographs. No more nothing. I'll take a picture, but I'm not signing any more autographs. So I got the last autograph in the line because it is dude that didn't put blackberries in his fruit bowl. So I was
so
like,
Ken, you might want to have
I gotta go.
Yeah, I think what was that? Yeah. Blackberries? I might want to bring him some blackberries.
Yeah. Don't bring up the story though. I was not happy about it, but yeah, it was and then everybody after I saw them coming out of that line because people were waiting there for hours in the hot sun to meet him and get an autograph. And he said no more autographs, and I bounced. I was out of there because I didn't want people to think it was my fault, man.
That's great. So Rob had some connectivity issues. He dropped out, but he's in the chat. So appreciate Rob out there. So fellas, man, just want to thank you guys for joining us. Chat as always, appreciate you guys. Just another Thursday night with the cousins, and check us out. Oh man, Oz, we're gonna have to do a quick recording to get a Monday episode out right off the plane, and we'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
For sure. But Ken, any last words before we get out of here?
No, thanks for having me on. This was great. It was it's always nice to talk about Tyson PMGs, right? I mean, dueling Tyson PMGs. Yeah. Congrats on yours as well. And they say things come in 3, so I'm waiting for a third person to show up with a Tyson PMG.
That'll be cool. That'll be cool.
Appreciate the invite.
Maybe we'll split one. We'll do
there you go.
vacation on it every once in a while.
There you go. Real quick before I get to Sal for his last words, Cardboard Collaborator says he was on a plane with Mike Tyson going from Boston to Vegas. Said the whole time I'm like, if this guy goes crazy, there's nothing that we can do. And that is true. That's one dude you don't want to. We've seen that there was a video one time of a dude got a little frisky in the plane, and Mike let him have it. Just be cool, man, around Mike. You never know what's gonna happen. But so Sal, any last words?
I just want to say I always appreciate you guys, man. You guys always do it right. It's always a great time whenever I come on here and talk to you guys, whenever I see you out and about, or, just even through the messages. You guys have always supported me. You were one of the first people to have me on and help me out when I got started with my page. So I'm always going to be appreciative and thankful for you guys, and everything you do. I'm behind you 100%. So appreciate you and your crew, man.
Appreciate it. So before I kick it to the people's man, like I said, thank you everybody for checking us out. Monday, we may or may not drop an episode. We'll see. But we have a 93 or 94 game hitting streak, guys, so we can't let that.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, we cannot snap that hitting streak. James Lumen, appreciate you, says fantastic episode. So with that said, I will turn it over to the people's mailman, the vacationing people's mailman, to take us home.
The happiest place
so-
on earth.
Yeah.
So Jason Tatum is making me eat my words. They're up 121 to 116 with a minute 55, and he's made a couple nice plays at the end here. So they might be able to let the Hawks go home. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, man, this was a blast. Love having you guys on. Sal, you're the man. Ken, appreciate you coming on board. Obviously, Rob as well. And we're going to end this like we always do, and that's keep focused, keep positive, and keep collecting. Hey, yo, Tone, bring the beat back.